What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Bronx Pinstripe Show, brought to you today by Oakley, the best sunglasses company in the biz. When you wear Oakley, there is more than meets the eye. We're doing eye test versus nerd test presented by Oakley today for Anthony Volpe's chicken parm adjustment. Not clean shaven, Scott. You just said you shaved your beard. You've got like that. It's not a 5 o'clock.
I went down to the lowest guard. I went down to the lowest guard on my company that doesn't sponsor us anymore, not to be named, electric shaver that's not meant for the face.
Didn't that company that shall not be named because they don't sponsor us anymore? Aren't they now saying like, oh,
they have a new one that apparently is for the face?
Because they finally realized like we can only go so far as a company marketing ourselves as a ball shaver.
And that men don't really care, and, and that we actually really don't do that, you know? It's like, oh, cool, thanks. It's a razor that has a long battery life that I can shave my beard. Thank you very much. It will never touch anywhere else but my face.
Yeah. So anyway, Yankees, I think they missed a prime opportunity this week after winning those first two games of the series against Baltimore. I'm not going to call it, they're just winning 3 out of 4. It's like, how big of a deal is that in the standings? Not a big deal, but it's optics. It's just vibes. It's feelings coming out of the week because you got absolutely crushed in that fourth game. And you had a nice couple of wins. You had a comeback win in that first one. That was really exciting. 4th of July victory. And then you just fall flat on your face the last 2 nights.
Yeah, it was disappointing because the Yankees looked like they were coming out hot. Like it was a series that really mattered to them, that they had to almost make a statement to the Baltimore Orioles. And the first 2 games felt that way. You're absolutely right. I think the first 2 games I was like, okay, this team feels energized. This team feels like they got something. And then all of a sudden, you know what I thought was a really good move on the Orioles side, if I'm tipping my cap to the other side, they brought up 2 of their kids for the third game, the third baseman and left fielder maybe, which we could use one of those. Both kids were in AAA Norfolk before that, and were lighting it up, and gave a spark. Actually had both guys had very big series. Both got big hits in their first games. Both drove in runs. Like it was a rejuvenation in the middle of a series with 2 kids that a lot of the guys know too, because they're in a similar situation to the Yankees, where the Yankees were in 16-17, where all of these guys have played together in the minor leagues and they know each other. And I think that does help. Once you get to the bigs, you have familiarity, you have chemistry with these guys. And it did. It lit a fire under their butts and they started hitting. And so the last 2 games, look at what they did offensively. Obviously there was help with Sevy being dog shit, but the kids were energized and they were playing well. And yeah, there was a missed opportunity for the Yankees, no doubt, but I think the Orioles kind of stole it, and there was a little bit of a counter move on their end to those first 2 games, brought up the kids, and it worked.
Yeah, that's interesting because for Baltimore, who's already a young team, you wouldn't necessarily think you would need that kind of spark midseason. Generally, you see that with like more of a veteran team that gets off to a nice start and then starts to go through a lull, and then you inject some youth into the roster, or maybe like a nice trade at the deadline, and that sort of rejuvenates everybody. But that could be what happened with Baltimore there. You mentioned Severino being dog shit, so if we're going through his game logs,
that's a good transition.
Yeah.
So speaking of Severino being dog shit.
His first 2 outings after coming back from the injury were both good. Against Cincinnati and San Diego, he pitched well in both of those. And then that third game against the Dodgers, he got shelled. He gave up 7 runs in 4 innings. And immediately after that start, we talked about potential of tipping pitches, partially because the Dodgers lineup has Red Sox connections, and that's where the tipping of Severino sort of originated from. But when you see somebody like Severino just get lit up when the stuff is still there, maybe the velocity is still there for the most part, and yeah, location, he has been missing location a lot, but when you see a guy get lit up so aggressively, where it's not just singles and seeing eye hits, it is doubles into the gap, it is missiles off the wall, it is 440-foot bombs, you're like, okay, what's going on here? He gave up these are his game logs: runs and hits given up starting with that Dodger series. 7 runs, 9 hits, 4 runs, 6 hits, 5 runs, 7 hits, 3 runs, 7 hits, no runs, 5 hits against the Rangers. And that was obviously a good start. But in that first inning, the Yankees threw out a runner at home plate. There were 2 runners on, and they threw out a guy at home plate to get Severino out of that inning. If that does not happen, or if that throw is 3 feet up the line, maybe that's a different story. Then against St. Louis, 9 runs, 9 runs, 9 hits. And then yesterday against Baltimore, 7 runs, 10 hits in 2 2/3 innings. And after the game, you were listening to the post-game press conference. Obviously, tipping pitches was a topic.
Yeah, it wasn't so much that tipping pitches in that particular start was what they were referring to, but a lot of the beat guys were asking about two different post-game press conferences, or not press conferences, just interviews. What I'm talking about here is Boone and then Severino. And it wasn't so much that it was tipping pitches in that particular start. It's more like, hey, we got to fix this. What are you guys looking at to fix this? And in both cases, when they asked Boone, tipping pitches being the deception in the delivery was brought up. Not to say that it was the reason, but it's definitely brought up. And then when they asked Sevy afterward, who looked completely dejected, as he should, was talking about, again, reviewing the tape. And he kind of went through the list of what they're reviewing. Mechanics asking Trevi what he's seeing. What am I doing wrong? Am I tipping pitches? Like these. So they're all bringing it up as if it's something that's internally. It definitely sounds like it's a hot button. I don't think they're talking about it. He was being careful with his words. Sevy was. I do think it's something there. We can look at all the tape we want, but you really got to go under the hood and dive into what is going on with him and figure it out. And then there's going to be some slight mechanical changes that he's going to have to make. But everything is saying, Boone is saying, Sevy's saying, everybody is saying, healthy, feel great, feel good. There's no issue with an injury. So this is the worst that Sevy's pitched. He was talking about, this is the worst. I've never been this bad. And when you see someone who has the talent level and skill level that Sevy does, and you hear that, something's up. Like what's going on? You got obviously into a bad mechanical rhythm coming back, and you're just not able to shake it. And within that, there very well could be some or multiple tells on what you're doing. So I really think that
that's
this
the problem.
is.
Do you think that's the problem? Do you think tipping or some sort of tell is a problem that the opposing team?
I think it's part of it. Yeah, it has to be. It's got to be part of it. There's got to be some subtle thing.
Why have the Yankees not caught it yet? Because that start against the Dodgers was on June 2nd. That was
from again, this is just me reading the tea leaves here, but listening to them and listening to Sevy specifically, it does sound like that they've discussed it and they've tried to address it. I'm not sure he's executing what they're talking about yet.
Okay, maybe.
Or he's doing the thing, and I have a feeling at this point he's so in his own head about mechanics and not tipping that he's not executing the pitches as he was. The confidence level isn't there. They were talking about it on the broadcast last night quite a bit, and we've discussed this here. The body language in Luis Severino is not the same right now. You're looking at a guy that is fully healthy, comes out there with a swag, has hit and miss. Swing and miss stuff, specifically with his fastball, and then is able to control his off speed enough where his fastball pops even more. And he just doesn't have that right now at all. So there's definitely a confidence level. There was a direct question to Sevy about his confidence, and of course he's unwavering with his amount of confidence. But I mean, you get shelled like that multiple times in a row, it's got to affect your confidence. And that's a big deal when you're going out there feeling that you're going to execute that. You got to be able to know and see that you're going to execute the pitches and know that you're better than that guy up there. And I just don't think he thinks that right now. And that's a problem. So All-Star break might be coming at a really good time for him.
I like your point that maybe the Yankees did catch something, and now this is just in his own mind that he's concentrating on that versus executing the pitches. That I think is a lot more realistic than he is still tipping pitches after 7 starts of potentially tipping pitches. Because if other teams are finding it out from a couple games of footage, clearly the Yankees scouts and the Yankees film crew should be able to figure out the same tip that the Orioles and the Dodgers and the Reds or whoever else could, not the Reds, the Cardinals, whoever else could figure out, right? It's
well, eye test, nerd test. We're going to be talking about a little chicken parm session that the Yankees coaches did not see.
The Yankees coaches just seem to be completely oblivious to everything happening.
It's like they have too many coaches now, and everybody's just pointing at each other and doesn't know what to do. It's like, oh, he's got it right. No, he's got it.
When
that's his job, right?
Because when a company gets too big and a team and there's too many people in an organization, you can hide. Yes. Like my first job out of college, I worked in a company that had 50,000 people globally. Okay, I was at headquarters in Massachusetts. I was at headquarters in Massachusetts. There were 5 massive buildings in a suburb of Massachusetts. I'm not going to talk about the company, but there was probably 15,000 people on campus. Weeks went by. I didn't do a goddamn thing because you didn't have to. I was on a team of 17 people. Guess what?
I had
someone was going to do the work.
Bosses. Yeah. It's true. It's when you get into those, it's like, oh, I thought that guy was supposed to do the stance. I was focused on the hands. He was looking at the feet. Like, what are we doing here? But so yeah, it could be that. It could be that they found the tip, or that they're speculating on what it could be, or and he's just, whatever he's doing that is being intentional to hide a tip. Again, this is pure speculation here. Could affect his mechanics as well. So maybe he's not thinking about it, but maybe there was a mechanical adjustment in order for him to be more deceptive that he's just not comfortable with yet.
Yeah, Boone used that word deception. Boone used the word deception in his post game.
Yeah.
And I understand what he's saying, but like deception is more, in my mind, like an action you are doing to intentionally deceive or
I don't think that's right.
Trick the hitter.
No. Deception in the delivery can be absolutely fluid. So,
well, I think of Nestor Cortez with the hesitation in his delivery as deception.
All right, I'll give you a counter. I think of Davy Garcia when he first came up. Davy Garcia had deception in his fastball, where there was a point in his windup and in his motion that he did hide it for a split second, and his 92, 93, 94 mile an hour fastball was popping like a 96, 97, 98, and all the guys would say it. It's hard to pick up. You hear that a lot, right? It's hard to pick up. The fastball is hard to pick up. And what that means is there's usually a natural deception in how the mechanics are working and how the ball is being picked up by the batter eye. That's the biggest thing. This would be a great question for Blum and Tuttle. But that little deception doesn't necessarily mean you're tricking it, but you're trying to build that in, I think, when you're working on things in spring or you're coming up. But I don't think it's a necessary, like, intentional deception. Nestor is an extreme example where, he needs to get back to that, frankly. But yeah,
that's a good point. Yeah, no. So it's just a complete mess with Severino, and it comes at a time where, if we are having sort of dreams of October, right now, we've got a 3-day stretch of Severino, who pitched on Thursday, Carlos Rodon, who's going to be pitching Friday night, and then Garrett Cole, who's going to be pitching Saturday afternoon. Like, that's the big 3, ideally, you have in an October series that we're looking at.
Yeah. I didn't hear you say Vasquez in there. I was waiting for that one, but.
Oh, sorry. He's the Game 4 pitcher.
Yeah. Well, the kid come up and pitched extremely well so far. But
Clark Schmidt's been great.
Schmidt's been good too. And so, not great. I wouldn't say great or
for number 5
starter, amazing, or what was the adjective that you destroyed K for?
Oh yeah, incredible. Was it incredible?
No, it was something worse.
Outstanding.
I don't remember.
We're going to see Tyone. We're going to see Tyone this weekend.
Yeah, he's struggling.
Tyone's pitching struggling against Rodon. So yeah, incredible. It was an incredible
It wasn't incredible. That wasn't the word. It was something else. But anyway, so look, there's an opportunity obviously for Sevy to get his head on a little bit more right. He's got a long break coming up with the All-Star break, and then they can do whatever they want really in that first series, so he could get an even extended break if they wanted to, and hopefully some of this is clear the cobwebs, but also, hey, go to work. Don't just use this as a break, as a vacation. Like, you need to go to work to figure this thing out. So there needs to be a little bit of overtime put in here, I think, to fix Sevy, because if he is healthy, there's really no reason for what we're seeing.
Yeah. I want to talk about a couple other things from the 4-game series. But before that, did you guys get your tickets for Friday night's game using Game Time? If not, you missed a golden opportunity, because the tickets are no longer cheap. You can still get great tickets with Game Time for maybe the Saturday or Sunday games, or if you're going to want to go to a game after the All-Star break. Game Time is the easiest way to grab tickets to sporting events, concerts, comedy shows, theater, or whatever else you want to go to. The app has so many cool features and is easy to use. It shows you the trending tickets, what sections the good deals are in, and it calls out cheap options and even flash deals so you can make quick and good purchases and informed purchases. There's also event cancellation protection so you can buy with confidence. You get images of your seats before you buy, so you know what to expect. The buying process is quick. Two quick taps and you're done. Tickets also go directly to your phone, so you don't have to go through junk mail or anything like that. You can snag tickets without stress using Game Time by downloading the Game Time app, create an account, and use our promo code Bronx for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Once again, download the app, create an account, use code Bronx for $20 off your first purchase. Thank you very much, Game Time, for sponsoring us once again. Okay, Monday's comeback, very exciting. One of the best comebacks of the season. Yeah.
No, that's right. I wanted to mention the poor camera guy that got drilled.
Was that Monday night or Tuesday?
So I've been at the beach this week.
No, wasn't it? Sorry, wasn't that Wednesday?
What day is today?
It was Wednesday.
Friday. Today feels like Sunday to me. Or Monday actually. I'm completely turned upside down because I've been kind of on quasi vacation this week. But yeah, seemingly he's doing okay. But man, that you couldn't have been in like a worst / perfect position to get drilled. Like it was, I've never seen anything like that. I've never seen a camera guy or someone in the stands or anything, which is crazy because you'd think that you'd see that more often, honestly.
Yeah. But they are just, Kay said on the broadcast, like you're looking through the camera, you're focused on getting the action. You're not, and then it's like a delayed reaction, like as the ball's coming at him. So if you're thinking like, oh, how could he have not seen that? He's literally looking at the play as it's happening because that's not what he's focused on. He's focused on capturing the moment.
He's focused on capturing the moment, and they all have different assignments, right? So he may not even been on the play necessarily. I'm sure he was, but either way, you're not anticipating a ball coming at you where you have to move. So it's from everything we're seeing, it seems like he's in good spirits and doing okay. But man, that was a scary moment. I came into that game just after that happened, and I saw the melee, so I had to go back and watch it again. And yeah, Gunnar Henderson, the kid who crushed us yesterday, is the one who threw it, and apparently he reached out and felt terrible. As
you might see some helmets or some protective gear for the camera crew.
For sure,
going forward, specifically in those camera wells right behind first and third base. And first base is really the more dangerous one because you're getting throws from the infield.
Yeah,
but you might start to see some protection.
Yeah, it was just a crazy play. But yeah, sorry, back to the gameplay.
That was Wednesday's game, in which the Yankees blew a 2-0 lead when Nick Ramirez came in and completely mucked up the situation, and Jake Bauers dove for a ball that landed in another state. But in Monday's game, the 3-0 comeback, Volpe got them on the board. He got the spark going. We're going to talk about him. The Bader go-ahead 3-run home run, I think, is an interesting moment because the bunt sign was on for the seemingly first two pitches of the at-bat, because the first pitch was a strike. Bader squared around a bunt, and then the next, what was going to be a pitch, ended up being just a turnaround to second base to see if Bader's still bunting, and he was squaring around to bunt. Then the bunt was called off, and he hit the 3-run home run. Why do you think the bunt was called off?
Because Harrison Bader can't bunt.
Yes. So why was the bunt called to begin with?
Well, it's the same thing as if, when Boone sends a pinch runner to first base, usually after the first pitch.
Okay.
It takes a minute for things to process. And he's like, oh, wait a second. The situation doesn't match what's in my brain. That's Harrison Bader. That's not who I thought it was. That's not Volpe or even Higgy.
That's it. Only Volpe. No, yeah. Higgy's tried to bunt. Higgy can't bunt. We've talked about
bunted a couple times. I've seen Higgy bunt.
No, I've seen
Higgy bunt. He catches it. All you gotta do is catch it with the bat. Just catch it.
Yeah, no, so Bader can't bunt, and that was going to be obvious because he squared around to bunt and looked completely uncomfortable. And then the bunt was called off. So fine, if a guy can't bunt, don't call a bunt, even if a bunt in that situation does make some sense to try and get second and third to score a run to take a lead. If a guy can't bunt, don't have him bunting. I'm glad he called it off after just one and a half.
You're glad he called it off because he hit a home run.
Even if he grounded into a double play, it's like he can't bunt. Know which guys on your team can and can't bunt. Know which guys on your team can do things and can't do things. Put your players in the best position to succeed. How many times have I said that with the bullpen? How about don't try and steal an out and then bring a guy in with first and third and no outs. Instead, just give him a clean inning. Don't try and steal an out and like get tricky so you can manage this 3-out rule. No, put your players in situations to succeed. Don't call a bunt when the guy clearly doesn't know how to bunt.
There was an exchange. I don't know if they talked about it in the post game, but I saw it afterwards in the dugout. But there was a lighthearted exchange. Didn't look like Boone thought it was as lighthearted, but with Bader and Boone as he's walking back from all the congratulations from the home run, and it was like it was something along the lines of "I told you so" or "See Skip, I can hit," whatever it was. It was an animated exchange from Bader, positive, and then with Boone obviously, but.
Don't you ever call a bunt again while I'm at the plate.
Dude, I listening to the post game last night with Boone too. One, he just seems over it. He seems all the questions he was getting. Yeah, over it is what I meant to say that. Over it. Just like I don't want to answer any of these questions because you guys are asking just all these negative questions and all these things that I don't have answers for. I have no answers
lost
for
14-1. Well, the questions are going to be negative after a 14-1 drubbing.
And he was dismissive of it, rolling his eyes a bunch. Like there were a few times rolling his eyes, and like even with questions, like and some of the questions are general, obviously that you
the
get.
Questions are so bad.
I know, but
honestly,
you know what?
They're so bad.
You just got your ass kicked on the final game of an in-division series where you took the first two. And it was about, you know what it was about? This is what it was about, actually. And it was a valid question because it's a microcosm of what's going on here. That was the fourth appearance by IKF on the pitcher's mound. And the fourth appearance. And, does that make you eligible for an all-star bid? It might. Because, IKF is out there 4 times, position player 4 times.
Shohei Ohtani, IKF. They're right there.
Yeah.
1 and 2.
And the question was, it was a general question. It was a very general and some would say condescending, passive aggressive question, but very warranted. Are you concerned that IKF is coming out there for the 4th time, with all the injuries and such? Like, is there any extra worry about him, the shoulder or anything else with all these other guys? Like, everybody's getting hurt. You have a position player who's playing all over the diamond, going 4 times. Which is more concerning? Look, I understand that the question probably wasn't worded. Nobody wanted it. Boone didn't want to answer it, didn't want to talk about it, but it's so valid. A position player with a 4th appearance before the All-Star break is absurd.
Logan, can you do a quick search on what's the most appearances? Not obviously Shohei Ohtani because but like the type of IKF, or because Donaldson pitched too. So the question should have been, hey, Boone, have you given some thought to the fact that IKF has been important to you and you're putting him in a position to get injured by having him pitch now for the 4th time? How about putting Josh Donaldson there going forward?
So we can,
because if he gets injured, no one gives a crap.
Yeah, it's true. Like IKF's going up to the mound and doing what practically anybody could do at that point. Like he's throwing 80 to 85 miles per hour over. And he threw an ephus last night. Like, okay, the crowd likes it, but at some point I'm like, I don't want to watch this because if this is happening for a fourth time, that means we're getting our asses kicked.
Yep. Yeah. And while we're on the topic of Josh Donaldson, they said this on the broadcast last night and I was floored. He has 13 hits this season and 9 of them are home runs.
That's crazy. Well, which one is crazy? The fact that he has 13 hits. The fact that there are 9 home runs.
13 hits, 9 of them home runs. He's hit home runs in 8 games, and the Yankees are 1-7 in those games.
That's crazy. That's crazy. That means one, he's hitting them in opportunities that are not clutch.
No, it doesn't necessarily mean that because he could have hit a solo home run and the Yankees lost 2-1 because they can't hit.
Yeah, but was that the situation? But was
a couple times it probably was.
This could be very well an A-Rod situation. Close your eyes, hit the fastball, and that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I would take A-Rod right now over Josh Donaldson.
Ooh, right now? Yeah, I mean, I think
you like today's A-Rod over Josh Donaldson would be more fun.
It would be more fun. It would be more fun.
Yeah. No, it's You're right. We're at the point now where IKF is pretty important to this team and the versatility he provides. Him getting injured would be bad for this team.
Anybody on this that is a part of this roster at this point getting injured, but yes, IKF because of the flexibility due to the other injuries and the fact that he can play third base, and third base, it's not a strong position for the Yankees right now. So
how about that play he made on Hicks, which I thought was just beautiful irony, where it wasn't going to be a home run, but it would have been a double off the wall, but he made a nice leap.
Most center fielders aren't jumping for that ball either.
Whatever, but I just find it funny that IKF kind of took Hicks's role as the fourth outfielder, and I mean Hicks did hit a home run, right? So
did he get that third hit, or did he stay at 2? Because I know he didn't play in the last game.
He only got 2 hits, so the under, but he did hit a home run.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe that all evens out in the end, but still.
The reason I went under, if he played every game, I would have never taken the over just out of pure spite, but but I just assumed he wasn't going to play at least one of the games.
But 2.5 was a good over under. I said it good.
It was good. Good spot.
Another thing that we have to talk about is Gleyber Torres's heads up in air quotes.
You know what? Give the man some credit.
Going first to home on a base hit because everyone was sleeping on the diamond, including him as he was running because he ran through a stop sign at third base, but he ended up scoring. And after the game, I think it was Boone said he praised Gleyber Torres's instincts, which again, I question. Yeah. Boone, do you understand your players or anything that's happening in front of you? Because Gleyber Torres has the worst instincts on the Yankees. Yes, I know that play worked out, but he's got terrible baseball instincts. He found a needle in a haystack. A clock is wrong twice a day, okay? Broken clock is wrong twice a day. That's what happened in that situation.
A broken clock is right twice a day.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Look, yes, it was an exciting play. He scored from first base on a ground ball up the middle, basically, right? And the defense was sleeping. That's what happened. He ran through a stop sign. If the defense is paying attention, like the other thing is that they were playing deeper, right? So he's reading that. But the thing is he's reading that, and then he's reading that going to second base, and then just running home based on what he thought where the guy was at second. I can't, man, that's there's a lot of luck involved there, because if you believe, unless he's doing quantum physics in his head about how fast that guy is
he's got rearview mirrors. Is he wearing rearview mirrors so he can see?
Yeah.
See what's happening behind him?
No, he had the math problem as he's rounding second base. He knew it. Solved. He's not, by the time that guy gets the ball, fields it, knowing the velocity of the throw countered the wind balance because he had his finger up, that he's not going to throw me out. Look, anybody, if someone's paying attention, that catcher is holding the ball while you're running and you look real dumb. And it's a tag situation. Unless you're Gary Sanchez, you're going to be out. So there's a big element of luck in that play. But it did work. It was exciting because he was running and scored from first, and that doesn't happen. That just doesn't happen. He also hit a home run. So it was Gleyber's day. And it was against the Orioles, which he's had historical success against, usually in Camden Yards, but historical success as the, early in his career, the mayor of Baltimore.
Yeah, the instincts are just off the charts for Gleyber Torres. Just love those baseball instincts. The bullpen can really be credited for those first 2 victories. In the first game, they locked it down after the Yankees fell behind. They gave up no runs in 4 2/3 innings. And then in 4 innings, they gave up 1 run on Tuesday. Just a combination of Ramirez, Hamilton, Canely, Holmes, Marinaccio, Peralta. And also, you have something on Abreu you've been mentioning?
So I noticed this, I think it was June. I went back and looked in our chat. It was June 29th at the end of the game. At the end of the game, he was, I forget the situation, but he was pitching and he just held his shoulder low, like something was ailing him on his shoulder. He finished the appearance, but wasn't sharp. He has pitched since twice and before last night, but last night he gave me the same body language, and everybody came out. We had Trainer out, we had Boone out. He stayed in the game, and then sure as shit, next pitch or one of the next pitches, he gives up a home run to right field. He wasn't right. Clearly something was up. I think he's hurt. They asked him directly about physically if Abreu was well, And he said, no, it was more like an illness, but assured everybody that he was healthy. Like, well,
More
if he's
like
an
an
illness and you
illness?
go out there and he's not feeling well, why are you keeping him in the game at that point? I don't know.
That's
I
weird.
think he's hurt. It looks like he's hurt. It looks like something is going on with the shoulder, and I don't know if it's happening each time, but I've seen him do the exact same motion with his shoulder where it's sagging and he's kind of like you can tell that he's favoring it. I've twice, and then this last time, and both times he's been bad. And this last time, right after that, he gave up a big home run and just wasn't able to locate anything. Everything was over the plate. He just didn't look good. He looked like a guy that was, trying to get through an outing. So I don't know.
What type of illness would be like, oh yeah, it's an illness, so he's slumping his shoulders, but like he's going to stay on the mound.
Yeah, fatigue, dehydration. I don't know, but why are you putting your guy out there
dehydration? You're getting the guy a Gatorade or something. You're not just walking off the mound and nothing.
Yeah, I don't know what the exact situation was, but I'm telling you that I saw this now happen in 2 of his last 4 appearances.
You saw it, yeah.
That his shoulder, he's been going to that shoulder for something. I think he's hurt.
All right, eye test versus nerd test. We're going to do it on the pre and post chicken parm adjustment from Anthony Volpe. Is brought to you by Oakley. There is so much more than meets the eye with Oakley sunglasses thanks to their amazing prism technology. We cannot confirm that the prism technology is the reason Anthony Volpe is seeing the baseball better, but he sure as shit is hitting the baseball better. Pre-chicken parm, the adjustment was made against the Mets on June 12th. Pre-chicken parm, 226 at-bats to a 186 batting average, 260 on base, 345 slugging, a terrible 605 OPS. We got some advanced numbers in here too. I'll go over those in a second, but those are just the numbers. 186 batting average, 605 OPS, 226 at-bats. Pre-chicken parm. Post-chicken parm, 65 ABs, 354 batting average, 417 on base, 600 slugging, over 1,000 OPS. He's almost doubled his OPS, doubled everything. And I know limited 65 at-bats since the stance adjustment, but we are seeing some underlying numbers that are showing the stance adjustment is working. Most notably to me is the opposite field approach. Before the adjustment, he was pulling the ball 45% of the time. He was going to center 33%, and he was going to opposite field 21%. Since then, he's pulling the ball 39%, going to center 29%, and opposite field 31%. A 10% increase in opposite field hits for Volpe with the stance change, with the closed stance.
So, a couple things here. Cam Maben, one, is middle of the field approach. That's exactly what's happening. Yes, the closed
Wells.
The closed stance is clearly making him feel more comfortable. It's allowing him to do the things that he wants to do. He's got more confidence, and so everything is lining up for a very good adjustment. Obviously, this is a very good adjustment on his end because it's working and because it makes him feel more comfortable. And the crazy thing is that he didn't realize it in the moment. Like his body didn't realize that he's setting up, which is a little wild to me because, and I guess through the motions I've never played baseball every single day of my life. So I don't know, once you're going through something, you just don't realize it until someone else points it out. Like most things.
Here's where I think that's bullshit, because I would say the only thing I can equate this to is golf, because I don't play golf a lot, but you don't realize as you're doing it that you're doing something wrong, right? Or you're doing something different.
Sure.
However, the difference here is that we don't have cameras on us. Okay, when we're playing golf,
and coaches monitor
coaches,
everything we're doing.
But even if Volpe is watching film of himself hitting, wouldn't he notice? My stance is open and not closed. Wouldn't he notice that after 200 something at bats of an open stance? He had to have watched some film on himself.
Yeah, I think there's just slight things that are tough to pick up with different camera angles as well. Like it's hard. We've done this where I've kind of pushed back on some of the things that we've looked at. Like, hey, arm slot, stance close.
Like you never did that Severino deep dive.
Well, I know, because there's nothing. I went back and looked. I didn't find anything that was egregious and glaring. And I'm not just going to come out here and say, hey, I found it when I didn't. There's so much discrepancy that it's really hard to find unless you have, everything at your at your fingertips, like the coaching staff does. And also they are standing there watching these guys in real life. They are getting their own eyes on them. They don't need camera angles. They're standing there watching batting practice, watching pitching, sessions in between starts. They're watching these things. They can look for very specific things from the exact same place, using the exact same eyes, and see what they're looking to see. So yes, I think it's great. I'm glad the adjustment. And I think that what it's doing is it's helping him stay closed. It's helping him, which is a lot of why the middle of the field approach works. It helps you stay closed. It helps you stay back and go through the ball. And that's, again, I've mentioned this a thousand times. One of the big reasons why Judge made the massive adjustments was because he had more time in the zone. He was able to flatten the bat behind and stay closed long enough where he could get to multiple different pitches and have a larger variance for success within a pitch. If you're open and you're flying out, the gap that you're going to hit that ball is smaller because you're pulling out of the strike zone and your bat's not flat through the zone.
Yeah, and then some more advanced numbers before and after the adjustment. So the barrel percentage is down, but I think barrel percentage can be a little misleading because his hard hit percentage is up about 10%. His exit velocity is up a couple miles per hour, and the launch angle is actually a degree less, which I think could be a good thing. More line drives.
Flat bat through the zone.
I know, especially
more consistent flat bat through the zone too.
Over the past, 6-7 years, a low launch angle has been frowned upon, but with no shifts, I think it's less frowned upon. You can get away with it more. So almost every number points to this adjustment has been working, and the traditional stats, the advanced stats. You did bring up something interesting before we started recording. It's like we have seen a hot stretch from him before this season. When he went to the leadoff spot in May, he did have a nice little stretch. Not this hot. It wasn't
sustained as long either. It was more of a weak situation where he was coming in there and hot. But it's also in a short career, in a small sample size. I think looking at the different streaks and understanding them, at least using them for context, is important, because in some cases you get guys that are just very streaky as well. And I don't think that's him. I think he's more of a pure hitter and actually did make an adjustment. But it's interesting to note because he did have a bit of a spark when he went to the leadoff spot.
One thing that
just before he went to the leadoff spot.
One thing you're most definitely going to see if this hot streak continues for a couple more weeks is the Jeter comparison once again, because we looked up these numbers, and remember, Jeter was struggling for like the first half of the season, and the second half of the season, was it half, Logan, or was it, I forget how long it was. It was whatever. Around this point, I think that Jeter's season took off and he hit like 360, 350 the remainder of 1996, which is almost exactly what we've seen from Volpe right now, hitting 350 for the past month. So if this goes on, you're going to get that side-by-side Jeter comparison again.
Yeah, I'm here for it. I think he's fine with it too. Volpe has the.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying it's.
No, yeah. I know. I think he's got the headspace to deal with it. I do. I think that he's a kid that's mature enough to handle anything thrown at him from the media as far as comparisons, because I don't think he listens to it. I think he just does his thing and eats chicken parm with his boys, which I love.
That was Eye Test versus Nerd Test, sponsored by Oakley. Once again, go to oakley.com for information about their Prism lens technology, or just to get a pair of Oakley shades for summer, for activities, baseball, golf, running, whatever the heck you want to do at oakley.com.
Great for the pool, by the way, too. There's my mother's place in Bethany Beach has a community pool that's great for kids. Kemp was like a water rat the entire week, wouldn't get out of the water. So I was in there a lot with him, had the Oakleys on, and I could swim. They actually provide pretty decent visibility underwater, to be honest, because they're so big. They like shed the water as you're swimming, and your eyes don't sting as much. So you
what
can
also
see beautifully.
Does that? Do you know what also does that?
Goggles.
Yeah,
because I'm gonna wear goggles. Let me grown ass man wearing goggles in a wading pool. Hold on. Go ahead.
You're a grown ass man opening his eyes underwater in a wading pool. What's worse?
Yeah, I gotta see. There's like a billion kids. What am I supposed to do? I'm playing with my son. I'm gonna open my eyes.
I went to the pool down the street with Harrison over the weekend. Was not opening my eyes in that pool. I had enough chlorine in my eyes from him splashing me a billion times.
Yeah.
Eyes
Well,
burnt for like 12 hours afterwards.
multiple uses.
Okay. So All-Star game is coming up this week. No Yankees relief pitchers were named to the All-Star team, and you can make an argument that was a little bit of a snub. The AL relief pitchers that were selected for the team, now again, this is not voting, this is coaches' selections for the pitching staff, is Cano and Bautista from Baltimore. Both of those guys have been unbelievable for the Orioles. Kenley Jansen from Boston, who's having a good year, and then Emmanuel Clase from Cleveland, who is leading in appearances, but his ERA is 3.54 and 1.18 ERA plus for Class A. Jansen's got a 3.34 ERA and a 1.38 ERA plus. Both of those are a good amount worse than a lot of guys in the Yankees bullpen. Wandy Peralta has a 2.43 ERA, a 1.72 ERA plus. Clay Holmes has a 2.36 ERA, a 1.77 ERA plus. Michael King's got a 2.87 ERA, a 1.45 ERA plus, and Ron Marinaccio has a 3.08 ERA and a 1.36 ERA plus. I know Marinaccio and even Michael King are not going to get voted into the All-Star or going to get selected to the All-Star team. Peralta and Holmes, though, I think you can make an argument over Class A because with Jansen, he is the only Red Sox that's going to be there, and every team has to be represented, so that's why he's there. But Class A, you've already got Jose Ramirez from Cleveland, and I know Class A is the closer, so that's going to get just more attention. And Holmes did lose the closer role, but
quote unquote
between Holmes and Peralta, like they've just been flat out better than Class A.
Yeah, I think this you kind of hit it. It's when you're looking at all-star bids, it tend to go to the guys that have definitive positions, not just like a regular bullpen guy. Even back when you see like a definitive eighth inning guy who's a setup man, quote unquote, they can use that as something to point to. Yankees don't have that right now. They just have a very best bullpen in baseball. So yes, there's absolutely merit for these guys getting into the game and being selected, but it just happens this way. It's like it's a popularity contest. At some point, the closer for this particular team is going to get a nod if the numbers are relatively close than a guy that comes in a different position.
You got to be
just
kind of
how
that's
happens.
the thing. You've got to be the dedicated closer to get selected as a relief pitcher to the All-Star.
If Clay Holmes had the closer role and he was the
be.
ninth inning guy every time, I bet he would be in over Class A for sure.
I agree with that. Yeah. And well, the Yankees
not saying
bullpen,
it's fair, but that's just kind of what happens.
The Yankees bullpen has been the best. They're losing Jimmy Cordero, who is suspended for the rest of the year for domestic violence, which is awful. And this just made me think of Herman again.
Of course,
immediately.
Yeah,
like
fuck this guy. Just they didn't DFA him again. He's on the restricted list, and so he's still floating in the ether. Do you get paid for that or no?
No, you don't get when you're suspended. You do not get paid, whether that's PEDs or whatever you get suspended for. So, like when didn't Herman not get paid for the 10 days?
He must not have, if that's what you're saying,
for the
then
sticky
no.
stuff. So,
oh yeah, for sure.
For sticky
I don't know
stuff
about that actually.
I think he was unpaid. The sticky stuff suspension, I think, is unpaid. I think if you get suspended, you don't get paid for the time you're on the IL, or when you're the. It's not like the time on the IL. It's different. Anyway, yeah.
I thought Trevor Bauer was still getting paid.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. Logan, do some digging if you can, please.
So obviously, like you said, F this guy with Cordero. Yeah, it'll be interesting. Like, are the Yankees going to bring him back next year? Because if they don't, good, I agree. But then why didn't you do that with Herman? What's the difference here? Right? It's just like and we could go all the way back to Aroldis Chapman. Like the Yankees traded for Aroldis Chapman after he had a domestic violence incident as well. So
there's a morals clause in a lot of the contracts too that doesn't get touched with some of the stuff. The Yankees have the ability to get rid of somebody. And when I said, I didn't even mean to talk about the actual contract. I'm saying there's a morality in decisions that you make. And they choose to look at the baseball. That's what they've done, right? That's what we're seeing. They look at baseball. And at that point, they let the baseball speak for itself. So I don't know if it's egregious enough. I guess they if there's a video, I mean, that's what we've seen. Sports and society don't
That's
mesh up.
always been the case.
Sports
with
and society don't mesh up. If you can look worse because something is out in the open, then they act differently than if something is behind closed doors. It's not right, but it is the way it happens. If I'm looking at things, that's what I see. That's how a lot of professional franchises conduct themselves. If it's something that's out in the open that everybody can see and make a judgment about what it is and the degree of how bad something is, they act differently than as if it's behind closed doors and it's just a suspension. That's what I've seen with my own eyes from every franchise, from different franchises across sports.
Yeah, the first real example of that was Ray Rice. Right?
Yes.
Before that video was made public, it was treated as one way, and then once the video came out, didn't his suspension go up?
If the video doesn't exist and there was no public knowledge of what actually transpired on that, does Ray Rice continue to play? Because he didn't play in the league after that. Does he continue to play, get suspended, and then come back? I would say, yeah, he probably does.
Probably.
Because he was good enough at that point.
Even reading a description of it is different than seeing it. There could
sure.
be a 10,000 word article about everything that happened, and that's not going to be as bad as a 10-second video.
In the public eye.
In the public eye. Yeah.
For PR, for firms that are representing the franchises and are going into the catastrophe mode.
You do get paid for sticky stuff suspension, which I don't think you should get paid for.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you know how pissed off I would be as a player if the umpires made an arbitrary decision and then I didn't get paid for it because that asshole is saying that my rosin.
Fine. How about after one sticky stuff suspension, you get paid for the first sticky stuff suspension, but if you get suspended again, you don't get paid.
No, you know why? But this is exactly why the rule is stupid. You get paid for it still. Doesn't that sound ridiculous?
Yes.
So doesn't that kind of tell you how ridiculous this and gray and arbitrary this whole thing is? They may call you on it, but we're still going to pay you. If it were definitive, then why would they pay you? You're cheating.
Yeah. It's a 10-day vacation. Yeah.
Yeah. It's rest up, get your arm back in shape.
It's the new Phantom IL. It's just the sticky stuff.
Sticky stuff. Yeah. Well, you lose a roster spot, so that's the difference.
That's right. It's a little worse. All right. Yeah. Cubs series, Rodon, Tyone, Smiley, Cole, Hendricks, Herman. The Cubs are below 500 by 6 games and in third place. I'm actually super excited for Rodon's debut tonight.
Yeah, me too. Because it's coming on the heels of Severino not being good, Herman not being great, coming back from the perfect game, which I think most people expected. You're anticipating, you want to see that big guy.
That's one thing I did want to talk about.
You definitely want to see that guy come out here and do his thing. So look, there's a lot of pressure on him though, too. I think after Severino going into the All-Star break with the Cubs in town, not to say that the Cubs Yankees is a big series on paper, but it is because of the attention it's going to get. And because of the, just the look, it's aesthetically pleasing. It's cool seeing the Cubs and the Yankees playing. And when you see Rodon out there, it's a big deal. This is the first time we're getting eyes on him on a mound in front of people in a real game without
Earn
smoke.
that mustache.
In the mustache. Well, we'll see. Maybe he comes out with no mustache.
Earn the mustache.
Earn the mustache.
Earn the mustache like you can earn your pinstripes. You can earn your mustache by pitching well. Herman, excluding the perfect game over his three outings other than the perfect game, 9 in the third innings pitched, 24 hits, 17 runs. Then the perfect game's in the middle of that.
Yeah.
Which one's the anomaly?
Right. That's a hell of an anomaly.
I know it is. It's the biggest anomaly you can find, but he's been pretty crap otherwise.
Yeah. Even when he came off the mound too, he was like, he
got a standing ovation. I know.
Yeah. He did a cap tip and the whole deal. Yeah.
It's like, give him the standing ovation when he's running out to the mound for the first inning. Don't give it to him after he can't get out of the fourth inning.
Right.
In that outing.
Hicks got booed, by the way.
Yeah.
In the beginning, it sounded like a little muffled, but I feel like as he continued to come up, it started getting louder and louder, especially after he hit that. He's fine. I'm just saying.
He's got the beard. He's doing the whole post-Yankee thing. You grow a beard, You can let your hair loose, even though he doesn't have any hair. He's got facial hair, so it's the classic former.
He's about to get his job
Yankee.
taken by other kids coming up, so we'll see.
It all comes full circle for Aaron Hicks.
Yes.
All right, that's going to wrap up today's episode. We'll talk to you again after the Sunday night game. That'll be up first thing Monday morning, or after the Sunday game. We're going to talk on Sunday night, and it's All-Star Week, and we've got some plans for those GM trade deadline episodes. Stay tuned for that. Thank you guys for listening.